it's gonna depend on that offense. And like I said, Mike Bobo, they lost Todd Monken. They didn't even go on a search. Him and Kirby are buddy. He made the hire. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but I think it's going to be the weakest part of that team.
Can Georgia three-peat, man?
Yes.
I think they can. I mean, I get it. They lost with Darnell Washington, Nolan Smith. They're going to lose Jalen Carter, McIntosh. He's gone. And Ringo. I don't know. I still feel like they have a good team, like on paper. I think that team is still pretty good. And I think Kirby Smart, like with how good he is as a defensive coach, I think he's still gonna get guys to that team. I mean, you get two, national championships back to back in a row. People are gonna want to come to you. And I think that's a large part of why, they just keep going. And I think for sure they have a chance to three-peat. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a lot harder this season than it was last season. Because you ain't gonna go back to the national championship and get another 65-7, W in the national championship. That's not gonna happen again.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a lot harder for them this season than it was last season. But I think Kirby Smart got a plan.
Well, think about all the weapons that Georgia had, right? That got them to like the next level. Would you guys agree that probably the most lacking department on that team was at wide receiver?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they addressed it.
That. Yeah.
Like I mentioned, like a few shows ago with that transfer.
Yeah. Well, A.D. Mitchell was the one that transferred out, right? So they're obviously missing him, but Brock Bowers is still there. And it drives me crazy, bro, especially in the draft. We're not going to get into that. We'll bring that up another day. But and this whole draft and combine situation that people really think that Darnell Washington is the guy because he made an amazing catch and he's a physical specimen and all that. You got to go watch Brock Bowers play, dude. The dude's incredible, man. That dude was catching passes like this, bro. he wasn't even looking. He's like, bam, touchdown.
Backwards helmet catch, bro.
Yeah. Backwards helmet catches, bro. Straight up, man. Yo, y'all are absolutely, y'all just went crazy, man. I just want to say shout out to Tom Grossi and the posse over there, man. Y'all didn't have to do that, but y'all did. And we always appreciate it, man. We had a donation and everything.
I know they going through the little darkness retreat over there in Packers.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
This is distracting me from that. It's like, okay. Like, I need the distraction, man.
Yeah. Well, Hayden, do you think that they can three-peat with all that information, man? They lost some key players. They lost Jalen Carter. They lost like everybody, but the one thing that they can gain respect from people is if they reload like a machine gun, like Alabama does. So, but what you think? What they got the tools to pull it off?
They do, but I think the biggest thing it's gonna be on is that QB room. How do the QBs play? Because you don't got Stetson Bennett there, who you can trust and rely on like third downs, first down, second down, like that guy. You're losing your guy who led you to back-to-back championships. I think it's going to depend on how that QB room plays. Now, you are losing big pieces on defensive level, like Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, etc. But like Manny said, I think that defense will be fine because Kirby Smart is a defensive genius. He'll make that defense the number one ranked defense again next year. Like, I'm not worried about Georgia's defense. It's more how their QB plays. Because Bennett was a very underrated part of this run, back-to-back run that Georgia had.
My question is, who beats them? That's my only question. Who is the only, biggest challenge for them? I guess the only other team could say Bama, and
I don't see Ohio State.
Ohio State, it's like, I think it's a little.
You got to put them up there.
The thing with Ohio State, it's hard to say, man, because Ryan Day did what he was supposed to do with with all those Urban Meyer kids. But you got to respect the fact that people like Brian Hartline is one of their, assistant coaches, and he's constantly flipping wide receiver recruits. And And then Ryan Day also has the fact, say what you want, but Fisher can go coach up at Ohio State right now. And because it's Ohio State, he going to get the recruits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So some schools are just blessed by that. And what did we say? The last time that Ohio State had an under 500 record was what, in 2011?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
before that, what was it, in 1960 something?
60, yeah.
1969.
Come on, bro. It's a prestigious school. It just is what it is. But back to the point at hand, I think if Kirby Smart is still their coach, they're always going to have a chance. And here's why. The one thing that he capitalized over somebody like Jimbo Fisher is, got to remember, and I'll always say, man, that one of the things that I hang my hat on is being as ballsy and calling this out, that in 2021, I said Alabama and Texas A&M were going to, or Texas A&M and Georgia were going to beat Alabama, and the two former assistants was finally going to get a win. I mean, unfortunately, your luck runs out. I just think they had all the juice to go ahead and do it, and you saw it. Georgia ended up winning a national championship. What's his name came in at quarterback. It went to Alabama. Alabama came to them at College Station, and they lost. And Jimbo Fisher got his win over Nick Saban there. But on the other side of the card too is, I don't with all the controversy that happened with Jimbo Fisher, I think that was a big distraction for Texas A&M. Just call it what it is. Just having a top recruiting class, and then some of those kids not wanting to play and then transferring out, and everybody knows the controversy, right? So, yeah. But on the other side of that, Kirby Smart is at a prestigious school. He's done what Mark Richt couldn't do when he was there, and he got that prestigious win over Nick Saban, and he knows that he's beatable. Once you find that weakness in somebody, it's hard for them to try to cover up their weakness every single time. Your confidence is a little better. You see what happened with Alabama this year. They were a shell of themselves. Call it what it want. Yeah. Call it what it is. Barely had a 1,000-yard rusher. Didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. That's the first time that's happened in like 15 years. Bryce Young had a hell of a year. So
this is a slump year for Bama, because it's normally like.
I think they're going to be better than they were last year.
I agree. I think they just look weird this year. Like, Young was the only one that consistently showed up offensively, and then Gibbs here and there. I mean, he was their best pass catcher some games. So if that shows you, like, that receiving core was just terrible, then yeah, that definitely shows you that Bama wasn't really that good this year. Because they had a Heisman a couple years ago, and Devontae Smith and wide receiver. They got Jerry Jeudy a couple years ago, Calvin Ridley. They Julio Jones before that, and Amari Cooper. Like, they've always had really, really good receivers. So it's just weird seeing no 1,000-yard receivers, on that offense. I mean, it was gonna happen to them sometime soon, but they didn't expect it to be this year.
Yeah, man. So let's just go ahead, Fish. Go ahead.
Yeah, they can repeat. I don't think that they will. And here's why. It's gonna depend on our offense, like Hayden said. They got Mike Bobo as the coordinator. You got your pick at quarterback. You got Carson Beck, Brock Vandagriff, Gunnar Stockton. You got your pick. Mm-hmm. You got Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas. Ra Thomas's charge were dropped, so he'll be there this year. You got Brock Bowers, and then all these other receivers that are super seniors there too. Branson Robinson, Dejon Edwards at running back. They absolutely can. But the reason I say I don't know is Mike Bobo was at South Carolina in 2020, 2-8 in conference, offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Auburn in 2021, 6-7. He had Bo Nix. He was with Georgia. They had Sonny Michel, Todd Gurley in 2014. Couldn't really get it done. I was under Mark Richt, I understand, but couldn't really get anything done. You have elite running backs there. You don't have those running backs coming into this year. You have good running backs, but same as this year, you had good running backs too, but nothing, nobody elite. It's hard to imagine that he's going to get his offense to be just our house like Todd Monken did. Todd Monken was by far the best thing that Georgia's ever had in a long time, and it paid off. Yeah. Like Hayden said, I'm not worried about their defense. Even if they have a bad defensive coordinator, which they don't, Glenn Schumann's great, but Kirby Smart's over that defense, and it's just never going to have problems. So it's going to depend on that offense. And like I said, Mike Bobo, they lost Todd Monken. They didn't even go on a search. Him and Kirby are buddy. He made the hire. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but I think it's going to be the weakest part of that team. I really do think
they'll
that.
be the 4 seed
Mm.
and get eliminated in the first round.
Just not a fan of Mike Bobo, man. Not a big fan.
Yeah,
I agree with what Fisham said.
I mean, how good can Mike Bobo have been? Because he's been there forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to learn. Like, he's gonna take a little bit of what Monken did, but still, like, I don't know. I think that offense it's gonna look really, really weird without Spencer Bennett.
It's hard to live in somebody's shadow too, especially with how good that they do. You know, like, for example, with Todd Monken, he already got back-to-back championships. then he goes back to the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
And I think this season, another thing that'll happen is Georgia fans will quickly realize why they underappreciated Stetson Bennett.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%.
I think that's going to be one thing that's going to really like hurt them because
didn't we all underestimate?
Bennett wasn't like the greatest quarterback by any means, but he was a quarterback.
He still was a Heisman nominee.
Oh, I remember. Too. I was dogging that man when Florida beat him. I was dogging him.
He made those.
He proved everybody wrong.
Hold on,
let's. There was an Ohio State game that helped them win the game.
So who was the last back-to-back championship winner?
Them. Outside of Georgia.
Bama did it in
11 and 12, right?
Yeah, 11, something like that, or 10 or 11, either one.
Yeah. So, and who was their quarterback? AJ McCarron.
AJ McCarron.
Boy, AJ.
And before that, it was Minnesota and like 60 something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Minnesota can screw
So,
up.
asking the question: Stetson Bennett or AJ McCarron? If you had to take one of those teams, what quarterback are you taking?
Bama go to AJ McCarron.
To put on another team to say, all right, so you had to choose one of the two quarterbacks that you think could possibly get your team to a national championship.
Bennett.
Are you going Stetson Bennett or are you going AJ McCarron?
That's a good question. I'm taking Bennett though. I don't know. That is. I don't know. I might have to think about that.
Your team is one quarterback away from a national championship.
So
you picking AJ McCarron or Stetson Bennett?
I would take Stetson. Alabama had elite wide receivers though. Elite. But I would take him.
Let's look up the college stats between both of these dudes because I don't know who I'm picking because are we doing recency bias because of Stetson Bennett?
I'm going AJ McCarron.
Also, you got to put it on the fact that AJ McCarron has some. Say what you want, he has some off the field distractions with his girlfriend.
Hey, bro, if that girlfriend makes
I'm just saying.
I don't care.
Hey, man,
I don't care. She makes
that's a distraction.
Better, that's a perk.
And they still won back-to-back championships.
Yeah.
So here you go. AJ McCarron during the national championship run, his best year was 2,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, quarterback rating of 175. Stetson Bennett's best year, well, damn, it was this year, 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, but he was also a demon on the ground. 10 touchdowns. Yeah, take a Stetson Bennett all day. It ain't even close to me.
Yes, AJ McCarron did 3-peat, but was he the starter for the first one?
No,
No,
Bama didn't even 3-peat. Bama didn't even 3-peat.
If I remember correctly, didn't they lose the first one?
No, they went back to back.
They went back to back, but no 3-peat.
Bro, if
Kirby
Smart wins another national championship in 3-peats, I don't know. I feel like that should like really like show how great he is. Like under the circumstance he's in. 3-peat with the weird coordinator. Like,
so they won 11 and 12 because 13. That's right. Florida State won against Auburn. Oh, damn.
Auburn's
with these helmets.
With these helmets.
With these helmets. Just saying. You about to take your background down now? You upset?
He just rips it out and it looks like a terrible green screen, but it's like just a poster.
It hurts on the inside.
Good.
It hurt y'all on the outside too. Just saying.
Yeah,
Kelvin Benjamin was y'all daddy the whole game. Y'all couldn't stop. Or Kelvin Benjamin. Y'all couldn't stop the dude the whole game, bro. That's the year that Jameis Winston won the Heisman as a freshman too. After we thought that Johnny Manziel was going to be the first one for a long time, and then Jameis Winston came in.
Jesus Christ.
Anthony,
actually, it was the second. It was the second year because in 2012, Johnny Manziel did it, and then Jameis Winston came in as a freshman and did it right after. Whoa, what a time to be alive during those college football days, bro.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Manziel, AJ McCarron.
Man, and the NIL just... Imagine if the NIL was in place back then.
I'm so glad it wasn't.
It would look a lot weird.
I'm kind of glad it wasn't, but it would have been interesting. Because would Johnny Manziel still play up to the talent that he was?
Man, with the money? He went and snorted some lines, and he, everything would have been different. Part of my life.
We would have had it.
That's what that man was doing, though. That's what he was doing.
So let's go around the horn and give our prediction. First of all, can they three-peat? Not will they three-peat. Can they three-peat? And what do you think the percentage of them three-peating is? Hayden, I'll start with you.
Yes, they can. Percentage 50, and I say no.
Fishing?
Yes, they can. 30%. I say no.
Manny?
Yeah, they can. I'll say 40. I'll give them 40. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna say 40. Say 40.
I'm gonna say no, they can't. And the percentage of them even attempting to be there, I'm gonna give my percentage if they even gonna make the college football playoff. I give them like a 35% chance of making the college football playoff this year.
I think they will.
It's gonna be a lot harder, bro.
It's good. They're gonna be 4.
I think there's a dark horse that's a team that we hate, but I think they're a dark horse. Ooh. I know we're gonna get into that later, but just for context on my opinion, is I think Notre Dame is gonna distract a lot of people, including Georgia, on how good Georgia actually is, and they're gonna sneak in for Georgia. I think Georgia's one of those teams where they're going to find themselves out of because Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They always find their little sneaky selves in there. But then Notre Dame's actually going to show you that they are a little better than what people give them credit for. Famous Cam, L take. What about it is an L?
Yeah. It's
what
realistic.
About it is L?
Well, the only thing that I
they got Sam Hartman.
The only thing I will say about it is no conference championship game. So only 12 games compared to a 13-game schedule. So depending on how every conference winners record shakes out and all that, Notre Dame can miss the playoffs just because of the 12 game instead of the 13.
But is that a distraction from the past, or is that more likely that they'll end up in there?
It just depends. A 10-2 Georgia or 11-2 Georgia versus a 12-0 Notre Dame.
I think the chat is thinking that I'm saying that I think Notre Dame's good enough to be there. No, I think Sam Hartman is good enough to get their team by to make them look better than they actually are. Because I think in the first round they're gonna get smashed by whatever team is there. If it's TCU again, I think they get crushed. That's just I'm saying the history out of Notre Dame has always projected them way higher than they probably should be.
Oh yeah.
So if that's what you mean by yes, we can three-peat and saying we can't make it to the playoffs is wild.
How?
Oh, Georgia fan. Well, I know it's not popular, but I'm just telling you that this is the possibility. If you don't think Alabama's going to be better, if you don't think Josh Heupel is going to still have a good team in Tennessee, they just had the most heartbreaking end of their season with people saying that they were a fluke because Hendon Hooker got hurt. Bro, they got a really good quarterback, and most of that team is still there. Bro, y'all are walling if you don't think that Tennessee's probably going to be good again.
And don't sleep on my boy Mertz down in Florida either.
I was about to say, you think Billy Napier is not going to respond back? And he might make Graham Mertz actually look good. And then
he had the potential.
If Anthony Richardson goes to the league and looks like crap, Graham Mertz is almost the same type of quarterback that just doesn't have the intangibles. Can run, can throw the ball. Are we kidding ourselves here?
People forget he went to a terrible coaching staff in Wisconsin, and he still looked serviceable.
Yeah.
Like,
the only problem with him is he just makes too much mistakes.
Hey, I'm going to give you a dark horse.
How much is on him and compared to his receivers?
I mean, yes, I get it. The system makes a lot of dumb decisions. But
these Georgia fans be crazy, bro.
Ole Miss?
A lot of them all the time.
Ole Miss? LSU?
No.
Mississippi State just lost Mike Leach. You don't think Will Rogers is... Will Rogers could have declared for the draft, and he didn't. Go ahead.
I disagree with what Famous said there. I feel like it's going to be a lot harder for you to make the national championship this season than it was last season. I feel like you got worse this season, to be honest with you.
You did. You downgraded your offensive coordinator.
This season. Like you lost Bennett. Your QB room got a little bit worse.
Your QB room, not a little, it got
when
worse.
It's needed. Like, that's one thing. Your Keely Ringo, I mean, I call him overrated, but still, he's one of your cornerbacks. I mean, Jalen Carter, you're going to lose him. Nolan Smith, Washington. I mean, you still got Brock Bowers. I feel like you're good there.
Yeah.
But still, like, you're going to lose talent, bro. I feel like your offense is going to get worse. I feel like your defense is still going to be like.
You guys don't have a number one receiver outside of Brock Bowers.
Yeah. Hey.
Go ahead, Fisher.
Go ahead, Fisher. My bad.
Nah, I wish he would have heard my Mike Bobo rant. But yeah, do you know how hard it is to not only two-peat but three-peat? You're losing the best offensive coordinator you've had ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's going to be hard for you to three-peat. I'm not saying you can't, but the likelihood is very, very slim.
You took an important piece away from the pie.
Yeah.
And you expect it to look like somebody just didn't sneak and grab a piece off of it.
Yeah, it's not plug and play here.
No, bro. No you putting a square peg into a round hole with Bobo. I'm not saying we're gonna three-peat, but we're being realistic. Like, I have no quarrels with Georgia. Fishin's a Florida fan, but we just want to see good football at the end of the day. This is why it's such an interesting conversation, because nobody really does this. You know, the last thing to do it was Alabama. The last thing before that was Minnesota to even do a two-peat. And now you got to rely on Brock Bowers is going to be Michael Mayer this year. He's going to get 1,000 targets. I'm just Kenny McIntosh is gone now. And Kenny McIntosh was not what you guys have expected out of Georgia running backs to be. You guys have been spoiled.
Yeah, James Cook is gone.
So you're going to have a lot of younger guys. Keely Ringo's gone. Jalen Carter's gone. Nolan Smith is gone. Like, Washington's gone.
You got a lot of people gone. Yeah, the thing with Georgia, they're like we said earlier, they're getting built like Bama. They recruit like Bama to where they can reload. So let's not get it twisted.
That's the thing. I think this season you're gonna have one of those seasons. Like, I mean, I don't want to say like Bama last season, but I just don't think you're gonna be like national championship. There is still a chance that you could make it, but like I feel like later down the line, like Fishing said, you're gonna obviously reload, but still, you're gonna definitely get a little bit worse this season. I think you're overrating Georgia this season.
Wait, hold up. How do you know what I said after? I actually still had Georgia out here being the best best college in the country last year after they won. Because did you lose huge pieces? Yes, you lost James Cook, but you also kept big pieces as well, and you still had a good coaching staff as well. I just don't like your offensive side of the coaching staff like I did last year.
And how do we really know Carson Beck is going to be really that good?
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing. Okay, I'll give you this. Yes, your running back crew is deep. Deshaun Edwards had like 750 yards. Kendall Milton had almost 600 yards. But Lat McConkey was your leading wide receiver, and he had sub 800 yards. And even Brock Bowers was not a 1,000-yard receiver. You guys had almost the same exact problem. You guys didn't have a 1,000-yard running back, and you guys didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver. You spreaded the ball around a lot, so a bunch of people got a bunch of yards. But that is a problem. Because there's not like
it's Todd Monken making stuff work with what he's got. That's what that is.
He's making everybody good. So Bobo might change it where he might put a lot of pressure just on one guy. Lat McConkey is going to be your number one guy, but are we really expecting him to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year?
No.
How many years has Mike Bobo spent in the NFL? Todd Monk has been in the NFL and he's going back. How many years has Mike Bobo been in the NFL? Matter of fact, how many winning seasons has he as an offensive coordinator in college?
A lot.
He had some winning seasons with Georgia in the past, but everywhere else.
And then it's
negative as a head coach.
I get it. Jameis Winston had like 30 picks with the Bucks. He still was a part of that. I think, right? He was a part of that.
They don't want to talk about how he had like over 30 touchdowns that year, though.
Exactly.
This man said I'm talking about Dante. He wasn't talking about you, Hayden. Of course.
But
I'm gonna say this.
So you're involving all of us.
Yeah. So
they'll argue
man, I'm out, y'all. Y'all got it.
They'll argue all night, bro. Which I don't mind. I'm just saying they were crazy, bro.
Two natties like in their head. It was just like.
I mean, we had to do it.
A lot harder for you to win a natty this season than it was.
We ain't gonna be here.
We're not going to say the popular opinion. We're going to be real with you. Not a lot of nobody three-peats. Nobody really two-peats like that. Todd Monken is gone.